Welcome to Illo Talk. I am Cory Kerr, and today I want to talk about one of the most important steps of animation, usually the first step in animation. Today we are going to talk about doing storyboards. It's one of the things that I think most people who are beginning and starting out skip, and they skip it to their detriment. So let's do it. And remember, while you are here, make sure to ring-a-ding that little ding so you get notifications. You can like and subscribe and all that jazz. And if you're around, share this video. Okay, so what we're doing here is we are looking at myself, actually. So let's look over here. So this is a storyboard that I'm working on. And you can see that there are a couple important components of a storyboard. Any movement needs to be depicted. And here's one of the issues that I have. If you're making a storyboard for yourself, like I am with this, you can be a little bit more loose on it. For example, let me pull up I'm just gonna pull up a layer that I can draw on here. Black layer. Okay. So for example, right here, this one, normally this would be a couple frames of the storyboard, because what it's showing that you start normal and then the TV is kind of coming in from the edges to kind of cover things. Kind of like we have in this shot where I'm covered from it. It's coming in from the sides. But what we're going to do here is, I know what that means, and so I just put little arrows in there. So there's two different types of storyboards. There's the storyboard that you are making as part of a team where everybody needs to understand very clearly what's going on. And that is a very detailed storyboard. Those types of storyboards, you spend a lot of time making sure that the details of it make sense, right? Then there's kind of a fast and loose storyboard, still very important that you get a lot of or most of the movement in there, but you don't necessarily need to be so pedantic that every single step is in there. For example, from here to here, I know that this little knob is going to continue to turn, right? And so I left myself a little note right here that this is going to turn, and then there's going to be a click, right? And then what you see here is a pretty decent depiction of what the image will be. And there's two reasons for this. One, you understand what is going to move, what the motion is, what the shot is, the animation of it. But two, you also need to create these assets. And so in this instance, I have myself here with a normal face, and then I have myself here with my hair standing on end, and I'm super exaggerated and surprised. And so I will need to draw and create both of those assets, right? I know that I need to create this television with knobs that move. So I know that this is going to be a layer, this is going to be a layer, and then this whole TV is going to be another layer, and that layer needs a hole cut out of the center of it. Again, like this shot here. So when I'm doing this, I know that I need a click sound. I know that this hair here is going to need to be a separate layer so that it can move and wave and that kind of stuff. Okay, and then I know, I'm putting in any audio that I need, and more images, right? This will continue to kind of click through some series of things. Now, from here to here, if this were a storyboard for somebody else, I would depict this a little bit better. But this is this box. And so what this tells me is that the camera is pulling out. Okay, the camera is pulling back away from this so that we can kind of frame this up. And the reason for that is, and the reason I put that in, is because I need to know what happens from this scene to this scene. And so what I did is I showed that. And then I'm going to show step by step. Stuff is going to come down from the top. It's going to begin dripping. That drip is going to fill. I've got, different levels. It starts to taper off. Okay. The filling continues to happen. We have a couple little dots and drips happening. Tentacles start to grow out of it. Okay. And then we kind of end up here. Now, the reason that I was so detailed in this part of it, even though this is for me, is I need to figure this out in the sketching. And so because I needed to figure it out in the sketching, I did it pretty detailed. And the reason for that is I'm going to be doing some shape tween animations where each one of these is basically going to be not quite hand drawn, but I will be drawing each of these layers and I need to know how they emerge from the sides of this and things like that, right? Whereas over here, I can be a little bit more loose with it. I just know that there's going to be a Molotov cocktail that is going to fly in on the scene here. I know what a Molotov cocktail looks like. I know that I need it to fly. I don't need it to be super, super detailed. I know I'm going to do an explosion, and the likelihood that I will sketch out a storyboard for this explosion is pretty high. But for right here, I just know that there's an explosion here. I'll kind of work through some of that a little bit later. Okay, and then we see steps of motion here. And I give myself, these are kind of important, these little arrows of what's going on, little impact marks, okay? Because each one of those things is going to kind of tell me what's going on. And I needed this situation here to have kind of robot legs. And then when we come in here, we see what's happening on the screen. So I push in again, right? And so I would come in and I'd say, let's push in from the corners, showing that we are kind of zooming in on this, okay? And on the screen, we see my signature and it goes, kind of builds on like that, and then it starts to expand and grow until it turns into a rounded rectangle. It fills the entire screen, and then this comes down, this comes up, and it kind of blips out like that, right? You kind of have that old CRT screen blip. So all of this is telling me the assets that I need to build and things like this. So I took this frame right here, and I said, okay, there's going to be some robot legs. And let me show you kind of what I did with that. So I'm just going to hide this, and let's turn our robot arm on. Okay, I'm going to get rid of, this right here real quick. And so you can see that I've started to do some quick sketches on what this robot arm might look like, right? And so you can kind of pull out of your storyboard and start to say, okay, there's an asset, I need to sketch that out. So, but first step of animation is figure out what your story is. And the reason for this that's really important is because if you don't do this stage, you're going to do a lot of extra work. Having done this incorrectly in the past, I can tell you that not doing this part, you're going to give yourself a ton of extra work. And so when you're looking at a storyboard, you need to go through this stage, right? You need to come up with your script or your loose idea of what things are going to be. Then you storyboard it. Then you take that storyboard and you start doing call outs of all of your different assets that you need to create, right? Like I've done here, like I saw that I had, where is it? I had these robot legs over here, right? And so then I started designing the robot legs, right? So I need to create all the assets, but the asset list comes from the storyboards, okay? Then after I have some loose sketches of each of the assets, and I have my storyboards, I'm going to cut everything up and I'm going to do an animatic. That is a motion storyboard. It's a moving storyboard. Then once I know that everything is going to work, and the reason that I do the animatic next, which we'll talk about in a future video, is because on these quick sketches, I might find out that, oh, this piece doesn't work, or if I come in here like this and I say, I actually need this to be a triangle or whatever, I can find that out before I actually illustrate or design anything, and so it can save me a ton of time. And so I do a quick animatic. It takes a few days to kind of throw one of those together. It helps you with timing. It helps you with, kind of your assets and what you need to create. Then you do your rough. Then you do your final. So today's video is mainly talking about the need for a storyboard and why people need to do that storyboard. So step 2, which I'll be talking about in a future video, is going to be your asset list and creating those assets and then putting those into an animatic. So if you liked this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and you can get all that fun stuff going on, and ring that bell so you get notified when I make new videos and all that jazz. And as always, you can check out my stuff at kuretake.com, and I've got a podcast going on at kuretake.com/48hr, and I go live Monday, Wednesday, Friday every week with the 48-hour art check. So check that out. lots of good stuff happening. We will catch you guys later. I am out. I animated these guys too. This is a cute way to have you guys do stuff that I want you to do. Little dudes flying across the screen showing you that you should do it. Look, he's hopping. I need to make that faster. Anyway, we'll see you later.